love that you have a very holistic approach in terms of your health. I'm a vegan. I've been a vegan for I think 12 years now, and
Wow.
I became a vegan is because every time I would eat, I would feel like I had a rock in my stomach, and I would tell my husband because he would go out and get the food, and we'll sit and watch TV, and it could be White Castle, it could be Italian cheeseburger, and I would tear that thing up, and then I would be like, oh my God, I'm having the worst pain. I feel like I have a boulder in my stomach. And he was like, that's it. I'm not buying it for you again, ever again. But then, when we sit and watching TV again, he'll go out and get it again because, it's what I asked for. But I was just like, I feel like if I don't pay attention to this, it's going to turn into something way bigger.
All right, we're out. There's Zena Go. Welcome to the show, Zena. How you living?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
We are blessed on top of blessed today. Hey, stacking it up. Where are you calling in from today, and how's the weather?
I am in Chicago and the weather is amazing. It is really, really warm and super bright outside. So, everybody else is outside.
Right.
It's a great change because it just snowed like 2 days ago.
Say I haven't been to Chicago, but from what I'm here, I think saying that it's nice weather and it's warm is probably rare. Is that correct?
Like, yeah, it's rare.
Gotta take advantage of that.
Right. So before you get into it, in your opinion, Zena, and I think I know what you're about to say, what is the best way for a married couple to make $1 million?
Ooh, the best way for a couple to make $1 million is one, the couple needs to be aligned that they can actually have $1 million, because if you're with someone that don't think they can have $1 million, then it's just really not going to work.
Mm.
And the other way, which is a way that me and my embarked on our journey, was both buying properties that were worth $500,000 each.
Let's go
Love
net
that.
worth.
Right. And I love that you started. Love that you started with mindset.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's quick to be like, oh, just buy some real estate. But if you and your partner are on the same mindset on like what to do with your money, there's gonna be that friction there. So I love what you did there.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you got into real estate? Right. So you said you have your partner with you. Y'all both got into it. What were those kind of early conversations like getting into that first property?
So our first property is the home that we live in after we got married. It's a single family home. We use FHA, which is 3.5% down, and we use a product called FHA 203K loan, which is we bought a distressed property, and that loan rolls in the construction costs to make it livable. And so we had that property as our marital home, so our primary residence. And we paid about, I want to say 300,000 for it. It was worth 700,000, so it walked into a lot of equity.
Let's rewind
Right.
that math really quickly. Right. So first you said a FHA 203K loan.
Yes,
Explain that one more time.
absolutely. So if you want to buy a distressed property, but you want to keep your costs down when you enter into buying property, because a lot of people don't have 20% saved. So the path of least resistance for us was utilizing the FHA product, which is 3.5% down. We found a property that we loved. It was a Victorian, but it needed work because the previous owner had passed away and the property sat for a long time. So it was like a lot of water damage, just a lot of things that happened, and it got the bank repossessed it. So this property needed new plumbing, needed new electricity, like the whole nine. So the 203K portion of that is the construction costs. So you can roll in all of the construction costs for a distressed property under
Mm.
that 3.5%. And it's like a phenomenal way to get into real estate and to walk into instant equity after all of the work is completed.
Oh yeah, love that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
We 5 minutes in, y'all already get $1 million worth of game right here. So you said you bought it for 300,000. You did some type of construction, and then the after or the ARV was 700,000. Is that correct?
The after repair, because the comparable homes in the area were around 650 to 750. So because our home, according to the comps, fell somewhere in the middle in terms of, square footage and bedrooms and things of that nature, we came in right around 700. And I just want to preface that by saying we bought our property in 2009, which was the year after the
Mhm.
whole like catastrophic mortgage issue. So probably before that, we probably wouldn't been able to get that house because it would have been, it would have been priced out of our market or out of budget. So I just took an opportunity. I was just like, there's houses on the market. We're ready to buy. Let's see what's out there. And the property was bank owned, and they was just like, yeah, let's do this. And we was like, we're happy to oblige.
Yeah, we'll run that real quick. So did you do a cash out refinance afterwards, or did you just keep that equity kind of tucked inside the house?
So we did keep the equity tucked inside the house because at the time we had no idea about cash out refi. We
Mm.
learned about that when the pandemic started, to be honest. When everyone was sent home, I was on social media more. I know a lot of other people was on social media more, and that's where I learned about multifamilies and cash out refis and BRRRRs. I had never heard of these terms before the pandemic started. So I always say the pandemic was a blessing and a curse because a lot of people got bans during the pandemic. Like people made some money. um, and it was a global thing that affected everyone because we never had something like this during our lifetime. But with the advent of social media, so many people came up, so many people learned more about just finance and personal financial literacy, and taking themselves to the next level, owning businesses. So it was like a really great time for our community, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Right. And I love, again, going back to your mindset, right? Because there's definitely some people out there who went through some hardships, health hardships, financial hardships, but being able to have that mindset of how can I make the best out of this situation? Right? How can I use some of this time to be home, learn about real estate? How can I use maybe some extra equity to invest in some properties? So yeah, love how it kind of circles back to your mindset in different opportunities, right?
Yeah. I
Go
do
ahead.
want to take a step back for someone who's watching and this is their first time hearing about a cash out refinance. Maybe we can dive into a little bit. Okay, so we've kind of mapped out. It started at 300. After you did your renovation, it was at 700. What does that mean? What does your equity actually mean? And what did you what is a cash out refinance as an option?
So basically, the equity is the amount of the property and the value of the property. So the value in the marketplace was 700,000, but the price that we paid and the price of our mortgage was 300. So theoretically, around 400,000, give or take, because there's fees and all that. But around $400,000 of money that we could tap into, meaning we can refinance and take cash out against that to do something else.
Mm.
You want to buy more property with that. But like I said, at the time, we had no idea. I had no clue about it. I was just happy I had this beautiful house that had all this new stuff in it. And so fast forward to the pandemic and just being on Instagram and just getting into these rabbit holes of people sharing all of this information. I told my husband, I was like, we should buy more property, and he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I've heard of BRRRR, which is, you buy property, you rehab it, you refinance it, and you rent it out. And then there was just, multifamilies, which made sense to me because I was just like, I want to use my money for the highest and best value. Meaning, if there's a single family that needs rehab and it's 300,000, we could fix it up. We can put a tenant in there for about $2,000, or we can buy a 4-unit for that same 300,000 and have tenants in there that's all paying $1,500 a month. So to me, it just makes more sense for multifamily because it's one roof, it's one, maintenance thing. It's, everything is under one roof. So that's just how my mind works. I want the best value for my money. So me and my husband, we have a business where he handles the Burr side of the house. So he buys distressed properties, he gets in there with his contractors and he rehabs them, and then we put a tenant in there. And then my side of the house is finding lower valued multifamilies, doing a little bit of rehab because I don't want to have like a big project and putting tenants in there and going that method, or buying turnkeys. Like my first property was a turnkey, and what turnkey means is it's already been rehabbed. So you just walking into it with, either getting new tenants or tenants that's already there, and you're immediately cash flowing from month one. So that's where we are in our journey because we're refinancing now after all these years. And we're buying a commercial property, which is $1 million. So
Nice. Yes.
Love it. So I do want to ask you, because I think you just posted on Instagram. I don't know if it was the commercial property. I think it was like a 10 unit or a 14 unit. I do want to have you go through kind of the process of that in a second and just say like maybe how do you found this property, financing. I know you're just doing the breakdown of the I think the cost analysis. So if we can kind of go through some of those things, that would be beautiful. But before that, you mentioned something that was very key. You said me and my husband have a business together. You said me and my husband are working together. I'm doing this, he's doing that. And I love that kind of y'all two coming together, each having their role, each having their strength, but building the wealth up together.
Yep.
Can you talk about what that process has been like for you? And I don't know like how y'all started building together, if you had to maybe do some trial and error to figure out who's good at which thing, but you gotta talk through that process of building a business with your partner.
Absolutely. So I'm the go-getter, the risk taker in the relationship. My husband, he is the supportive person and he's the logical person. He's like my life vest when I want to jump off the side of the cliff and say, yo, he's like, hold on, let me put your life vest on before you go do that. So very supportive, the sweetest man ever. And he co-signs on my crazy. I have to say that, but he knows that I'm also very logical and I always want to put our family in the best position possible. So when I was on Instagram, these late nights scrolling and learning all of this information, I would be bursting at the seams in the morning to tell him all the things that I learned. And so I know I needed to frame it in a way that it would make sense to him as well. So, I laid out what I thought we should do, getting into BRRRRs and getting into multifamilies, because I think it's a two-pronged process that we both could leverage because both of us would be doing two separate things. And, if you watch enough HGTV, you kind of have an idea of when people buy properties, they fix it up, get nice and stuff like that. It's not like that, though, in real life. How HGTV is like, oh, it took an hour and, here's ARV. It's a lot more involved in that, and it's a lot more time and money. But the end result is pretty much the same. You take something that is distressed and you make it beautiful and you put a tenant in there, and now you're building a passive income asset for your family and for your future generations, right? So when I approached him, I packaged it like, babe, I think that you would be great at this, because that's your wheelhouse, man.
I'll talk her into a lot of stuff like, oh, queen, it's your superpower. I think
superpower. That's the word right there.
Leverage your gifts if you.
Thank you for tuning in to the True Health Forever podcast. We hope you learned something valuable that you can take and implement into your life. Now, we've all heard that sharing is caring, and this podcast is no exception. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend, a family member, a coworker, a stranger walking down the street, anybody who you think can level up from this message. As always, we appreciate your support, and we'll talk to you next week. Be well.